So this is a question asking about what I meant when I said you shouldn't spend too much time going through tutorials. What I think, and many might disagree with this, is that when it comes to programming, people think that they need to go through an entire book to, for example, learn JavaScript. Or they think they need to go through an entire video series or even a set of tutorials. When you're first learning programming, momentum is important. If you're a beginner programmer, going through a few tutorials to learn the basics of a language, I think will give you that momentum. It's going to give you motivation and highs because you're completing exercises on the tutorials, and that's going to encourage you to continue further. But you have to understand that a lot of these tutorial websites, they start to go into intermediate or advanced topics that you don't need to know at the beginning stage. For example, Python decorators or even context managers are something that you don't really need to know at the beginning. They're nice, don't get me wrong. But if you're starting out Python for the first time, it makes no sense at all. What you should instead do is go through a few tutorials which will give you the basics of a language, Python in this case. Then after that, and as quickly as possible, try and figure out a project that you can work on. The best thing about being a beginner programmer is that I'm guessing the reason why you wanted to learn programming is because you had an idea for building something. Trying to get to that step of building as quickly as possible is really important. Go through enough tutorials that will give you the basics for you to get started. The moment you get stuck, Stack Overflow as well as Google is your best friend. Through that process of going on Stack Overflow or Googling, you'll realize that you might actually need to tackle the intermediate or advanced aspects of a language. Or you might even need to completely change the programming language you're learning depending on what you're trying to build. But that comes later down in the funnel. At the beginning of the funnel, in other words, when you're first starting to learn programming, trying to learn an entire language through a detailed set of tutorials, videos, or a course just doesn't make sense. Feel free to disagree, but I hope this answered your question, and let me know if you have any more questions in the comments.